Welcome to the PFS Network podcast. My name is Mitch, and I'll be your host for an important new series where we speak to patients, families, and clinicians about the devastating impact that post-finasteride syndrome has had on many lives. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Patrick from the Netherlands. Patrick is speaking with me because he's been suffering some adverse effects as a result of taking the hair loss drug finasteride several years ago. Patrick, we are very pleased that you've been able to join us today. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
How long ago did you take the drug?
Well, that's 5 years ago now.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you've been living with PFS for several years then.
Yes.
But I think it's important that, you just give us a little bit of a background about what you were doing back then 5 years ago. What was your life like before you took the drug?
Well, back then I was studying at a university. I was going for my bachelor degree in engineering, and just normal students, normal college students.
Yeah. So you're a technical engineer now, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So why did you decide to take the drug? Like, how concerned were you about your hair loss?
Well, back then I was pretty young. Well, I still am, but younger. And I always had a full head of hair, and I was pretty proud of my hair. And once it started falling out, it kind of stressed me out. So I I, I went to the doctor to ask what I can do.
hmm
And yeah, so
So is that how how did you find out about the drug? Did you just go to your doctor or did
yeah.
you find out about it online first?
No, I went to my doctor, to my general
hmm
practitioner, and he said that there is not really a lot you can do about going bald, but he can send me to a dermatologist, I think, um, a doctor specialized in hair and skin, and
hmm
she told me about finasteride.
Was there any warning of any side effects or any persistent ongoing side effects possibility?
Yeah, no. So I went to the dermatologist and I asked her, what can we do about going bald? She said, well, there is not really a lot you can do to reverse it, but there is something we can do to not stop it, but to slow it down. And she said there is a drug called finasteride, and that will stop it down. And I asked her, are there? She didn't even mention from herself that there are side effects. I had to ask her, are there any side effects? And she said, yeah, as long as you're taking the drug, you will experience a drop in libido. That's it. That was the only thing she said. And she said that once I stop continuing the drug, that all the side effects will go away. But they didn't.
So I guess then you just thought about it like taking any other medication, just, might get some adverse effects, but, once I stop taking the drug, then they'll go away and everything
Yeah,
will be
that
fine.
made it pretty easy to take the drug.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think about it. I just took it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I trusted the doctor.
Pretty common experience, I think. Like, I wasn't warned about any potential side effects, let alone ones that would persist. And everything you read about online even is like, well, you might get a reduction in libido, but they don't talk about. I have a lot of neurological side effects, physical side effects. None of that is really mentioned. So yeah, it sounds like you had a pretty similar experience where you didn't have a lot of warning.
Yeah, true.
So you get prescribed the drug and then you start taking it. What happens next? When did you start to notice that something wasn't quite right?
Well, I took it in, I think, May 5 years ago, about 5 years ago. 1 or 2 months in, I noticed a
hmm
increase in libido. So I
Mm.
was pretty, well, not shocked, but okay, I didn't really care. An increase in libido, so yeah, no problem. And then I went to Vietnam for my study. That
Okay.
was in September, and in around the time I went to Vietnam, I noticed a decrease in libido. So first it increased, and then it gradually decreased. And I was like, okay, well that's the side effects of the drug I'm taking. But it went down pretty fast, and um, when I was there, a friend of mine convinced me to just shave my head. He didn't know I was taking the drug, but he just said, "Look, it's your hair is just falling out, and there's nothing we can do about it. Just we're in Vietnam, no one knows you. Just cut off your hair." So so I did, and then a month after that, so I guess in October, I was like, why am I still taking this drug if I'm bald anyway? So and then my libido it was low, and then I also started to get erectile dysfunction. So I just thought, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm bald anyway. Why am I still taking this drug? I'm only getting negative side effects. So I just stopped it in October, I think, just cold turkey. Um, I remember it I felt a bit better after that for about, I don't know, a week or two, and then it went downhill again.
So then you stopped taking the drug, and I think you said you got some relief for about a few weeks, and then
Yeah.
you said things get much worse. What happened?
Well, it was from November, December. I think it just went downhill. Since then, it went. Since then until now, it's just going downhill. My libido was dropping by the day. I could feel it. Also, my erectile dysfunction, yeah, it just went up. I couldn't get an erection. No morning erections, no nocturnal erections. And since then, um, the next year and a half, every day worse and worse and worse. Um, and now I'm just at a very low baseline since, I don't know, since like 2 years.
So
And
you've actually continued to get worse then. Haven't
yes,
you haven't
yes,
haven't
very
improved,
strange.
right?
No, nothing. Just getting worse and worse and worse. And
Which
still today, I am even getting worse now, which is very strange. But yeah,
Well, it's the exact opposite of what you would expect to happen when you stop
true.
taking a drug, right? So
Yeah.
I think you mentioned to me previously when we've spoken that you had some problems with your memory as well.
Yes, yes. Not long after, I remember forgetting things. My short-term memory is not what it used to is not what it used to be, and now I just there's a lot I keep forgetting. So my memory doesn't serve me as good as it used to. I have done a pretty tough university um, study, and if I look back on it now, I couldn't do it again.
So
I'm glad I
did you do your
before.
university study while you've had PFS or before?
Yeah, I was at the end of my university study,
Right.
thank God.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I finished it before my memory went down, because if I remember now, I had some pretty hard tests, math tests, statistics, things like that. A lot of math, and I just can't imagine doing that now,
Yeah.
because back then it was hard, and now I just can't remember things, and I wouldn't be able to do it. And well, you could say it's because of age, but how can you forget so much in just 2 years? How can it go back?
Well,
How can it
especially
go so hard
at
back?
your age as
Yeah,
well. Like you wouldn't expect someone in their early to mid 20s to start to have problems with their memory, like
yeah,
completely healthy before, and then all of a sudden you've just got like these massive problems with your memory. It's
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And nothing else has changed. I'm still having a very healthy lifestyle. I'm still doing a lot of exercise, sports. Um, I'm going to the gym. I cycle, racing cycle. I do water skiing. I eat very healthy. I've never done drugs or smoking, so I don't know what has changed.
Right.
I can't. Only one thing has changed is that I've taken finasteride. So
Definitely empathize with you because I have to find, I have to write things down all the time so I don't remember them and write these massive lists of things that I need to do. So,
yeah, I'm working as a mechanical engineer. So when people talk to me, I always take notes. And I didn't used to do that. Also at school, I could remember everything, or a lot, and I almost didn't never I almost never wrote things down, and now almost everything. If I have an appointment tomorrow, I have to write it down because later that day I'll,
yeah.
I'll forget it.
Yeah.
It's strange. If someone gives me a number, a 5-digit number, I have to write it down because I'll forget it in a couple
Yeah.
minutes. It's very strange.
Yeah, I find when you get the verification codes, like some you get like an
Yeah,
SMS. I would used to just be like 6 digits. Like I remember that so easily. Now it's like I've got to like
yeah.
go back to my phone and then like it's crazy, man. I used to just I had an awesome memory. I remember I used to just like I was training to be a journalist, so I could do like an interview, not write any notes, and like remember everything that someone had told me. So um, yeah. So, what was going through your head? Like, how did it make you feel to just go all of a sudden, like, I'm 21 years old, my libido's gone, and I can't remember anything? Like, what's going through your head?
Well, yeah, I was stressing a lot. I thought it was because of the food in Vietnam that was doing it. So I returned to Holland, and here it didn't get better. Um, so I started going to a lot of doctors, and they weren't of any help.
What was that experience like in terms of going and talking to doctors? Did you find they were like supportive, or did they not have a lot of knowledge about PFS?
Yeah. So I went to my general practitioner again. I said, I have a drop in libido and I have erectile dysfunction because those are my main symptoms, and they still are. Because the memory loss, I can cope with that. Um, my job, it's not as difficult as the study was, so I can cope. But it's the sexual dysfunction that's yeah, that's killing me. So I went to my general practitioner and I said, "Well, I have those symptoms, and um, how is this possible?" And he said, "So what have you been doing?" I said, "Yeah, well, nothing. Nothing has changed except for the finasteride. So maybe it's because of that." He said, "Well, that's almost impossible that a drug that you have stopped could have these side effects." But he wasn't sure, so he sent me to a urologist. And the funny thing is, the urologist looked at my prostate, and he also didn't know what to do. So he sent me to a clinic with a urologist and sexuologist clinic, pretty new here in Holland. And they knew what PFS was. They even said themselves that you might be having
Wow.
PFS. Yeah, I was actually surprised. I didn't mention
So
it.
is that the first
I
time
I
that you'd actually like heard of PFS? Is like a urologist telling, right?
no I looked it up on the internet because when my general practitioner didn't know what to do and the first urologist didn't know what to do, I was like, well, I think it's because of finasteride. So I started googling and I came across PFS. But I thought, well, that's probably not it. So I thought, well, maybe it's something with a prostate or I don't know. So I went to the clinic, and there they said that they have seen a lot of guys that have the same effects after taking finasteride. So they thought I might be having PFS. So I thought, what can we do? They said, unfortunately, there isn't anything we can do right now at the moment. So they prescribed me Viagra. Yeah, so I took the Viagra, but even Viagra didn't work. I didn't want to be let down, so I said, well, I want to be sent to an endocrinologist. And they sent me to an endocrinologist, and since then I have been to many urologists, endocrinologists, and a lot of other doctors, and they basically all do the same. They take blood tests to look at your hormones. The blood tests are all within range, so nothing is wrong there. So they keep saying, well, there's nothing we can do because your blood hormones, they're fine, they're all within range. So on paper, you're perfectly healthy. Doesn't matter if you're not, but on paper, you're healthy, so there's nothing we can do. And they all do the same. They take the blood tests, they say I'm perfectly healthy, and all they can do is prescribe me another form of Viagra. So Viagra, Cialis, Tadalafil. It's very demotivating. It's very demotivating. I just don't know. At this point, I don't know what to do. It's every doctor I go to
Yeah.
is the same. Is the same story, and some of them know what PFS is. Some of them do know. Some of them even say that they've heard of this phenomenon PFS, and they have seen other people that have um, this syndrome or these effects from the finasteride. But there's just nothing we can do. That's what they all say, and others just don't know about PFS. That's
Well, hopefully
yeah.
we can start to change that. But it's quite a unique experience. Like for me, I've like I it took me 7.5 years to find one urologist who had even heard of ongoing adverse effects from
Oh,
finasteride. We've spoken to other people on this podcast who either they or their loved one they couldn't find anyone who would even recognize it. So, obviously your experience is awful, but it is good that your urologist was aware, and you've had several specialists who've been aware.
yeah,
So that's one good thing to hear. And you spoke about how frustrating it is. I mean,
yeah.
does that experience just make it worse when you like keep going to see specialists and they just keep doing the same thing and
Yeah, I don't really want to go to see more specialists unless I'm really certain that it's going to help, because I've been to like 9 or 10, and that's a lot. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've been to a lot, and it's always the same. So it's very
yeah.
demotivating. Very. Well, my main problems, like I said, is the sexual dysfunction. I had a girlfriend for 2 years. We just broke up 3 months ago. So one of the reasons was my problems. I couldn't give her what she needed, and I understand. You know. But still, it's everything together. It's very demotivating. But I'm keeping hope.
That's yeah, it's very heartbreaking to hear. How has all of this sort of made you feel, I guess, over time?
It's very hard, to be honest. I always kept hope because mentally I'm pretty strong. I'm pretty strong. Suicide is not something that comes to my mind very quickly. I always keep fighting, and that mentality has given me hope. So that's what that's also the reason why I went to all of those doctors. But when my relationship ended, my relationship of 2 years, when it ended, it wasn't just a relationship, but everything together, all my problems and all my side effects, and the relationship ended, and I broke down. So I went to my general practitioner, crying, and I said I want to go to a psychologist to talk and to find I don't know, the drive to keep hope.
It's tough, man. It is
So
hard
yeah,
to to keep going. I think unless
it's
you've
very hard.
lived with this
Very hard.
condition, you don't really understand how hard it is to keep hope when there are
True.
no treatments.
And you know, I keep blaming myself,
Uh,
but I know it's not my fault. But well, if I had known, you know, then if I had heard of PFS before
yeah,
taking
so
the
that was one of the
finasteride,
questions I
I
was going
would
to
have
ask
done
you.
it.
Is I think no, no, no. That's good. I mean,
Oh,
you've given me the answer, but I think for me, like I had no awareness of any persistent side effects. If I had have known this was even a possible outcome, I would have never taken the drug, right? And I think it's the same for you. You would have just
yeah,
shave your head like you did anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did it anyway, so I would never taken it, you know. But that's I guess that's just human, you know. You make mistakes and then you look back on it and I should have never done it. Yeah, but that's exactly one of those things, you know. If someone told me that,
Mm,
well, you would have persistent side effects of a drug, uh,
mm,
well, I would have never taken it. You know, back then it was my hair was the most important thing to me because you know I was young and healthy and that was the only thing wrong with
mm.
me. But I shaved my head anyway, so now I have a lot of problems and I'm bald anyway. So yeah, I would have never taken it. If the doctor who prescribed me the drug said, well, there is a chance you might have permanent side effects, well, I would have stopped it right then and there. It isn't worth it, you know. And that's the thing um, that makes me angry, you know. No one says that it can last, you know, forever or as permanent as it is right now. So that's if just anyone told me of if I was smart enough to look on the internet, you know, and not just trust someone,
It's
yeah, I
it's
would
like
never taken it.
it's
It's not
unacceptable
worth it.
risk, right? Like
Really isn't.
there's if I even knew there was potential for side effects on the drug, and I would have said, okay, that's acceptable risk. I'll take the drug. When I come off, things will go away. I'll lose my hair.
Yeah,
That sucks, but like I'll be fine. But the possibility of persistent
yeah,
adverse effects is just and life changing adverse effects. Like your life is dramatically different
yes.
from what it was.
Very frustrating,
Yeah.
unexpected, and
Have you
frustrating.
told your family and friends about what's going on with?
I have told, yeah, I have told my mom, and I have told a couple of my friends, but those are the only ones, because I'm ashamed, you know. Um, yeah, I'm ashamed to just tell it to everyone I know,
It's
to be honest.
I guess very
So
it's a
yeah,
very stigmatizing condition. How do you find they react though when you've told them, like your mum and your friends? Are they pretty supportive or?
um, yeah, well, yeah, my mom was crying a lot and helping me, stimulating me to see more doctors. But yeah, that's about it. That's all she can do. As friends also very helpful. My best friend, he also says that yeah, you just need to wait it out and hope for the best. I
Yeah.
guess wait for research. Yeah, that's about it. That's about all you can
I
do
guess, do
right
you
now.
think that more patients should do what you're doing and speak about what's going on?
I hope they will. Yeah, yeah, I hope they will because well, the more publicity this gets, the more people we will reach, and hopefully they won't. Hopefully they'll think twice about taking the drug. You know, you can't you can't stop someone from taking something they really want to take, but at least consider it. No one told me that this would be a possibility, but when people know it might be a possibility, you know, we'll
Yeah,
think twice. So
absolutely.
yeah, but I'm hoping more people will speak out like I'm doing right now.
Absolutely, I hope so too because two things. Like, one, these problems don't get solved when people are anonymous and they don't speak up. And, at the moment, one of the reasons we want to do this is to show people that, PFS patients are not hypochondriacs. We're not, psychosomatic.
Yeah.
We're normal people. We weren't unhealthy before this happened.
No.
We're like normal people. This can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And, it's important to show how people's lives have changed, and to get more people to talk about it.
You just said that people think we are hypochondriacs, or that it's all in the mind. I went to a sexologist and to talk about the problem. And I tried various techniques and breathing, and also with my ex at the time, and I did everything possible to help it from if it was psychological, but it's just not. It's not in the head.
Yeah.
It's just not. I went to a lot of doctors, and even they said that no, it's not in your head. It's just we don't know what it is, but it's not in the head.
It's like, how long did you take the drug for? Like 6 months?
Yeah, about 6 months, 5-6 months.
There's nothing else that would have changed so dramatically in your life over that time.
Nothing.
And like you said, health, very healthy, exercise, all those things. So
Yeah.
So I think you've touched on a little bit in terms of research and that sort of thing. But what gives you hope, and I guess what are your hopes for the future of our condition?
I'm just hoping for more research on PFS and on finasteride, and how to reverse these effects that it has done. That's really what I'm hoping for. Time is still with me. I'm still young, relatively speaking. So I'm hoping that in the next 5 or 10 years there will be some research which will show what to do, how to get better. Hopefully,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's I'm
Definitely
hoping I'll
puts
get
things
better.
in perspective when you realize, like, hopefully you've got time. Really hope that things do progress on that front in the next few years. So yeah, well, thank you so much again for coming on and sharing your story. It's a very difficult thing to do. I really appreciate your bravery and your courage in doing this, and thanks again.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thanks for watching today's episode. Please like this video, and if you're new to our channel, subscribe and check out our other content, and stay tuned as we'll be releasing lots of new content over the coming months. You can also find us at our website, pfsnetwork.org, or on Twitter @pfsnetwork. If you are a PFS patient or the loved one of a PFS patient, please consider donating generously to upcoming scientific research. You can learn more about our latest study and donate by heading over to our website using the link in our description below. Thanks for watching, and take care.